Black Therapist podcast. It is for clinicians and entrepreneurs and people who have the credentials to be in the mental wellness arena, where you can learn how to be your true, authentic self. And sometimes, in order to do that, you have to know who you are, you have to know who your client population is, and you also need to know what works best for you. So, this is a place where we can have those conversations to get comfortable with doing what is best for you. While you're here, feel free to like, share, subscribe to Bougie Black Therapist Podcast. You can also find me at Stopping the Chase Counseling and Stopping the Chase on Facebook and on Instagram. One of the reasons why this conversation is important to me is because mental wellness and talking about mental health is my jam. One of the reasons why it's my jam is because therapy is becoming dope. It's becoming one of the cool things to do. And it's becoming a luxury because we need a support system that we look forward to being a part of. And I really, really, really enjoy this job. I love this job so much. However, it's not enough of us because people of color are coming to therapy. Black people coming to therapy. But we need more people that they can relate to. We need more people with tattoos and that use slang and talk country. And I saw a post this morning where one of my friends, C. Anderson, hey C, she said she posted something on her Facebook page where this girl said she had a therapy session this morning and she was taking her braids out and her therapist did not blink or look at her like she was crazy. And a lot of us on the thread were like, that's the part of the process when it comes to you coming to Black therapy. You know, there are certain things that we can relate to that our allies may not understand, and it's a lot easier. But you don't have to explain the details of it. You already connect with them. So today, my topic is vulnerability is my superpower. And so my target audience, the people that come to me are the strong friends. They are the trailblazers. They're the go-to person. They are the one that looks like they're okay all the time. And they're not comfortable with asking for help because they don't want to ask for help. And so I ran across this post one day, I want to say like maybe around December or so. And the girl had posted that all year, her mantra was vulnerability is her superpower. I did a keynote about 2 or 3 weekends ago in Nashville with Not Your Typical Psychotherapist, and my topic was bougie boundaries. It was people pleasers and entrepreneurs and how that shows up in how we do life. So I told them about how every year I learned how to have like a mantra or something that I focus on. One year I focused on gifts. I focused on giving people birthday gifts. I focused on being intentional about showing up for people with gifts. Not even really because that was what they needed from me, but that was kind of what I wanted to intentionally improve on with myself. Another year, I focused on hugs. I focused on giving real hugs. And if I didn't want to hug somebody, I didn't hug them. And that by itself was kind of uncomfortable because you know how you kind of do stuff that you're not really, like you don't like everybody's energy. And so you don't want everybody to be a part of your orbit. So if I hugged somebody, I was intentional about hugging them. And I think I've gotten a lot better at it. So when I came across this post that said vulnerability is my superpower, I was thinking, that sounds cute. I want to do that too. And I didn't really pay attention to what it really means. And I kind of like that about myself. I tend to jump into stuff that I don't really know the dynamics of it, but I think it's a spiritual thing because God knows that if He lets me know all the details, I'm probably not going to follow through because I'm going to overthink myself out of it. So I started to look up the word vulnerability and started to really kind of think about what does vulnerability mean for me. And for me, I realized that it is me being totally and completely honest with myself about what my feelings are regarding situations conversations, encounters. And then once I figure out how I feel, then being willing to be open with others around me. And that has been scary because change has happened more than I expected it to in some negative ways, or no, I don't want to say negative ways, but like in some not so good ways. But the benefits have been so magnificent. The benefits have been wonderful, and the benefits have been scary because I don't like asking for help. My therapist told me last year, he said, Montoya, you do know you don't have to be in need for somebody to help you, right? Like you don't have to be in lack. And when you don't allow someone to give to you, you're kind of robbing the giver. And you like in order for you to be a giver and a receiver, the conduit, the things that you're looking for, the things that you're seeking starts to seek you. So allowing people to give to you and allowing people to be a blessing to you is a blessing to them, and it's a blessing to the universe, and it creates room for more. But I don't like it because it's scary. So today we're talking about vulnerability and how vulnerability can be your superpower. So, why is vulnerability important, especially for entrepreneurs and people who have businesses and people who struggle with being the strong friend? Usually, the strong friend, we're the codependent people. I am in strong friend recovery. I am in people pleasing recovery. And so, hello, my name is Montoya. My drug of choice is doing everything for everybody and acting like I'm cool, because in the past it has made me feel like I'm adding value, and in the past it has made me feel like I'm enough. But this journey is teaching me that enough is a choice, it's not actually an amount. Right. Yeah. And all the people that come to see me for therapy, they are the helpers. They're the rescuers. They're the ones that keep everybody else warm, whether people asked for them to keep them warm or not. I was telling a group of friends a few weeks ago that I had went to a chiropractor, and the lady was telling me that we were talking about what was going to be happening for the weekend, and the kids had a couple of days off from school. And she was saying, I'm really glad that I'll be able to take care of my kids and not have to worry about somebody picking them up from school. She said, because every day it's just stressful, me having to figure out who's going to get them from school every day. And the people pleasing Montoya was like, I probably could pick her kids up from school for her. I could rearrange my schedule. The school is right down the street. Her office is right around the corner. And then I was thinking, wait, I'm being intentional. First of all, Montoya, you don't know this lady. This is your first time ever have a conversation with her before in life. Second of all, this lady didn't ask you for your help. And third of all, mind your business and go in there and lay down on the table and get your chiropractic treatment and get out of here and trust God for her. Stop trying to be Jesus Jr. because she did not ask you for that. So since I've been being intentional, I've been having to pay attention to those kind of conversations that I have with myself in my head and honoring the pause before I speak. Because we like to save people because we know crisis management from A to Z, and we are willing to put ourselves on the back burner for the benefit of other people. Because once again, it adds value to us. But then we're exhausted and we're mad. So being vulnerable for me looks like me just being honest with myself, me having more conversations with myself, me talking to myself, and then me doing a better job of asking other people what do they need or what do they want. And then I decide where I fit in that, if I want to or if I can. Has anybody asked any questions?
Not right now. But if you all have any questions, who's visiting Miss McGowan, put them in the chat below. if you have any questions or concerns, anything.
Yeah, that's my producer,
Yeah.
Cassius McGowan.
Yeah.
Who is pretty dope and pretty awesome. He is responsible for this whole, what do you call it? This whole shebang,
Yes.
this
yes.
whole operation.
Yes.
He's responsible for the graphics. He's responsible for everything. All I have to do for Memphis Podcast is show up and pay my invoice. And he takes care of everything else.
Yes.
Even on the days where I'm just like, I'm scared, I don't really want to do it, or if I don't feel like I have the conversation, or if I feel like my energy is off, he is great when it comes to being an accountability person. He's timely. So if you need help with your podcast, with creating it, cultivating it, growing it, you should definitely reach out to Cassius McGowan with ISF Productions and Memphis Podcast. Did I get it right?
Thank you. Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
Oh.
So, what does vulnerability look like, and why do people not like it? People don't like vulnerability because if you look up the definition of it, it means that you make yourself available for the possibility of attack or harm. So when you're honest and you say, hey, I don't really like that, or that's not okay with me, or this isn't what I want to do, one, you're not manipulating the outcome by saying yes and going along just to get along. And two, you are opening yourself up for rejection. We don't like rejection.
No.
We don't like abandonment. We're like, oh, those are trigger words, which trigger words really just mean indicators. Indicators are feelings. Thank you, Takia. Is that how you say her name? Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you for showing up. I apologize if I said your name incorrectly. But so you're opening yourself up for attack. You're opening yourself up for the possibility of somebody rejecting you. You're opening yourself up for the possibility of somebody not being okay with your feelings or not being okay with what you think. And I'm recording everything that I'm saying on my phone by accident. Being honest means that you're not hiding your true feelings in a tip to try to soften the blow for other people. And some of the clients that I have that come and see me, well, actually not some of them. I like all of them. I like all of my clients. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, they're so cute. But I have to make sure that I keep my therapist face. And one of the reasons why I enjoy the clients that come to see me, like I don't have anybody where I'm just like, they coming today. I really don't, care for them. I don't have anybody like that.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. And what I had to do was I had to get comfortable with making sure that I am attracting people that are a good fit for me. And when they are a good fit for me, then I am able to be a better version and the best version of myself in our sessions for them to help facilitate the kind of healing and insight and awareness they are looking for to increase their life. And so if I'm seeing somebody that I don't really mesh with and that our energies don't really connect, I'm doing them a disservice and I am doing more harm than help, and that's not what I want to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really hard to open up after being around manipulative people. Jazzy Meg. True. Very true. So this thing about being vulnerable and being honest with yourself about your feelings means that you have to really be honest with yourself. I had someone tell me, I really appreciate you being a safe space for me, and I feel like I can trust you. And I said, the thing about that is people are going to let you down, whether it's intentional or not. And I'm grateful that you trust me, and I'm not going to tell anything about your business, which is the purpose of therapy and coming to therapy, because it's confidential. And if I tell someone your business, you can sue me, and you have the right to sue me. You have the right to report my credentials, because I have given an oath that I'm a safe space for you. So being around manipulative people is you learning how to better trust yourself. So the better you get at trusting yourself, being around manipulative people won't really be much of an issue for you anymore, because your insight and your awareness and how you feel and your intuition will start to tell you sooner than later, oh, this person isn't for you. So you learn how to trust you, and you don't even have to worry about trusting other people. But it is definitely hard because we don't like when people use how they have given us gifts against us. We don't like how they use them as weapons later. And when you get to a point to where you just like, fuck it, yeah, you did that for me, appreciate it, move on with your life, I don't owe you nothing, or you should have sent me an invoice. Then oh well. But when you start to be your true authentic self, you will start to attract people and repel people. So you will repel people who say, oh, I probably can't get over on her. Oh, I can't manipulate her. She doesn't really let stuff slide as much as most people do, so I'm not going to go around her. But the people who want that honesty, the people who want to be connected to you, they'll show up. So people will start to attract and repel, and that's what you want, because everybody's not going to be for you, but the people that are will be quality. And when you start to trust yourself, you'll be okay with people shifting in your life, because you will start to realize that, okay, this was a spiritual connection for however long it was, and it's over. I trust God for me. I trust God for them, and we're moving right along in life. So that was good. Yeah.
That was great. We have another one.
Is there something that pushed you to become more vulnerable? And what would you say or advise others to do who have had a hard time being vulnerable that want to start? So I am a part of a mastermind group. It's a group of therapists, and they are my friends, and we call ourselves the non-shit weasel therapists. Shout out to my friends. I love them so much. So I asked them this morning, what are some things that I'm going out for a surgery on next week, and I'll be out for about 2 months. And I asked them, what are some things that I need to remember for my business so that people can know that I'm not available? And then I told them why. And I'm usually comfortable with telling people what I've worked through after I've gotten to the other side of it. This is one of those first times that I have not, because, okay, so going back to the first part of the question, I realized that I was experiencing a lot of situations where I felt misunderstood. And when I was talking to my therapist about it, I felt misunderstood, but it was because I wasn't doing a good job at helping people understand me. And one thing that can help you get closer to that is starting to use feeling words. Sounds super cheesy, sounds super easy, but it's not. So if somebody hurts you and you say, I felt left out, versus I'm mad at you, it's the same thing, but when you add the feelings to it, the outcome is different, and the trajectory of the conversation can be different. So when I started using feeling words, I started to attract people who could understand and could relate to me. And I started to attract people who wanted to care for me just because they see who I am and they see how we could better be a part of each other's lives. Now, there are some people who slip through the cracks, but that's a part of the process. That's just life. So that's how I started to work on being more vulnerable, because I had to start learning how to use feeling words. One of the things that makes some therapists, really good therapists, is because we don't need feelings in our sessions. It's not our session. And so we can tell you stories, we can tell you about situations, but our feelings are not important, because we're helping you care for your feelings in a therapy session. But just like with a lot of other professions, when you leave work and you come home, you still have to figure out how to use those feelings to connect with people that you care for. So if somebody doesn't know that you're hurt or that you're bothered, then they don't know how to care for you because they assume that you're unbothered because you've told people that you're unbothered. You've told people that you give zero fucks. And so people assume that you give zero fucks and they treat you like you give zero fucks. But when you start to have like 10 fucks a day and letting people know, like, okay, I actually do care about that. Yeah, that hurt my feelings, or I felt left out, or I'm feeling really irritated. I don't feel important when you go all day without calling or without checking in on me. I don't feel like a priority. So if people don't know, then they don't know that you need it. And then we also have these imaginary contracts with people. And what I mean by that is we think people should know, but they don't know because people aren't really thinking about us the way we feel like they are or the way we feel like they should be. People are minding their own business. They're in their own head and they're not thinking about, oh my goodness, this is probably going to make such and such mad if I do this. No, they're going to do it and think about it later. So helping people understand how to do life with you comes with you being willing to tell people how you really feel. And then when you tell them how you feel, then you're able to assess, can this person meet my needs? Does this person have the capacity to meet my needs? Does this person have the desire to meet my needs? Do they even have time to meet my needs? Either way, you need to know because it's a gift. Once again, we're going back to attracting and repelling. And if they can't meet your needs and you're in a relationship with them in some way or another, even if it's just family members, then you've got to decide, do I want to stay and be in relationship with this person? Do I want to adjust my expectations of them? Can I adjust my expectations of them? Or do I just want to sever, ties with them and move on? So when I started being intentional and paying attention about that, that's kind of what pushed me into being more vulnerable. And those are some of the things that you can start to do because we have a hard time being vulnerable. So going back to my therapist friends, then I told them about the surgery that I was having. And then they went into let me care for you friend mode. And I was like, ooh, no, I'm good. I'm not in lack. I prepared for this. I haven't really told many people about it. No, I don't need anything. I'm okay. And then I was like, wait, Montoya, you decided that vulnerability is going to be your superpower by the end of this year. And so if people offer to care for you, you're going to say yes. You're going to allow them to. You're probably going to cringe because you don't like to feel like you're being a burden to people. But these people have not told me that I'm a burden to them. They have not told me that I'm in the way. And then the other side of me that's not comfortable with that is I don't like for people to tell me no. And I don't like for people to tell me no. I actually prefer yes or yes. And so I used to say that I was really good at avoiding disappointment, but I'm not. It was an illusion. It was something I was playing mind games with myself about. Because I used to say that if I don't allow myself to get my hopes up high, then I can't be disappointed. Well, actually what you're doing is you're starting out with disappointment. And people don't know how to treat you. They don't know how to care for you. And once again, you don't even know if they have the capacity if you don't let them know what your expectations are. So boundaries are really just expectations. Boundaries are stated expectations. Boundaries are you telling people what you need, what you think you might want to need, and then seeing if they can meet them. Also, you have to assess yourself because we ask things of other people that we're not willing to do. So allowing people to care for me is very hard. Asking my mom to help me next week is very hard. But people love us. And that's why you're the strong friend, because people trust you, people care for you. And it's a gift to allow them to be able to do those things for you. And most people that want to do things for you, they're not using it to manipulate you. So the other thing is us codependent people, us people pleasers, rescuers, helpers, we attract all spectrums of narcissistic people. Narcissistic people, they love to receive, and they love to feed our need to give. And that sometimes is what causes us to feel like we're putting ourselves in situations where we're being manipulated, because we know what it feels like, because we've been there before. And so we're trying to protect ourselves from being manipulated again. But insight, awareness, knowing more about yourself, knowing what your feelings are, being able to understand what your indicators are. And when it comes to true narcissistic people, when you start to have stated expectations, how they respond to those expectations can better help you decide if this person is taking advantage of your desire and your need to give, or if they just really want to be a part of your life, and helping and giving and receiving is a conduit type relationship for y'all. So I hope I answered that question. Kesha, does that sound like I answered that question?
Yes, you did.
Yay, I pronounced your name correctly. And you're so cute. I really like your hair. I can definitely relate to being misunderstood. I don't usually use feeling words. That's great advice. So in my office, I have this chalkboard wallpaper. And on the chalkboard wallpaper, I have feeling words. I have like negative feelings, and then I have positive feelings at the bottom. And people will come in and they'll sit down and they'll look at the list of feeling words, and then they start crying. And I'm like, but I ain't even said nothing yet.
Really? Oh, God.
I haven't even asked any questions yet. What is you crying about? And it's because I realize that they are reading those feeling words and they're recognizing the feelings that they have not been able to give time and attention to. And they didn't realize that some of those feelings were things that they have suppressed. And you have to use feeling words. God gave them to us for a purpose. God gave them to us for a reason. And the reason he gave them to us is so that we can help people understand what's important to us and what matters to us. And they're indicators. Feelings are indicators. So if you go through life and you don't allow yourself to explore indicators, then other people will be able to control your feelings and emotions better than you. When you start to be aware, you can manage them, you can control them, you can take care of them, and you won't be manipulated easily by other people. Sometimes we could do life with people and they know us better than us. That's not what we want. We know our children. We can be like, I know if I say this to such and such, then he gonna do X, Y, and Z. And then you know your mom, so you say, if I tell her this, then I know this is going to happen. But we don't know ourselves, but other people know us. So the gift to yourself is allowing yourself to use feeling words, to explore feeling words. I just had this conversation with one of my friends yesterday. I was helping him craft conversations in his text message. And he didn't have any feeling words in there at all. And that's because he don't know to use them and he's not comfortable with them. So the conversation, I was telling him, I said, it looks like y'all having an HR conversation. So, and I used to do that too, because we're really just spewing facts back and forth. But when you put feelings in there, when you say, I felt embarrassed that I said that to you, it changes the direction of the conversation. When you say, I feel ashamed that you even realized that I was doing that and I wasn't intentional about how I was treating you, it changes people's feelings, and it kind of softens the conversation to where the connection and the understanding and the clarity that it provides can take you to a different place. People are going to leave because people don't like feelings. But the people that are for you, they're going to want to care for you even more. We have any other questions?
Yeah.
How do you coach people on vulnerability in a time when they are grieving? This is a really good question. So I have been allowed to sit with people who are grieving. And one of my friends, Debbie Frankel, I did a training, I think it was like 6 weeks, about grieving with her. And I learned a lot about grieving during that process. So grief really says there was a loss. Grief says I had love. I don't have a place for that love to go anymore because of the loss. We lose a lot of stuff. The past 2.5, 3 years, we have, as a collective, we have lost a lot of things. We've grieved a lot of things. We've grieved the loss of relationships. We've grieved the loss of people. We've grieved the loss of jobs. We've grieved the loss of connection. A lot of us grieve the loss of the flexibility to be able to do stuff and go places that were a part of our self-care. And so vulnerability is really just feelings. So when you're grieving something, I go to Google and I Google emotion and feeling words. And then I go to images. And then I look up feeling words, and I might screenshot a couple and save them in my phone. And then from there, when I'm talking about something, whether it's me journaling or in therapy or having a conversation with somebody, I'm like, hold on, let me go to my feeling words to see how I actually feel about this. So with grief and also with trauma, healthy relationships, healthy connections, safe conversations, and less reactive relationships can help heal trauma, and they can also help soften the process of grief. Grief is, it says you loved and you lost. You care for, and that particular space that you were sending your love to is no longer there. And that's really hard to manage because nobody teaches you like how to go through grief, and nobody teaches us some of the things that we've grieved. If you start to pay attention to people, you will be able to see the losses that some people have had and not to take how they treat you personal. If they've lost a parent, if they've lost a childhood, because a lot of people had to become adults as children. And so when the little version of them shows up, you got to show them some compassion. But to answer your question, it all goes back to feelings. And we don't like feelings because feelings suck. Feelings, they really do suck. This morning when my friends were talking about, them doing stuff for me, my stomach felt queasy. I felt nervous and I felt anxious, and I was like, I don't want anybody to think that I need something, because I don't, and I'm okay. But the honest part of that is, girl, yes, you do. You do need stuff. You need love, you need connection, you need affection, you need safe conversations. Sometimes I need people looking for me. I want to know that somebody's checking for me. And those are honestly the things that I need, and giving other people the space to be able to say that. I don't like the word needy. I don't like the word thirsty, because we all are. We're needy, we're thirsty. But how we ask for it and how we show up when we're asking for it, that's the part that makes it the negative, where people kind of look at it like, oh my God, why is she doing that? Because she need a hug. That's why she's doing that. She need love. She need affection. She needs somebody to care for her without her having to feel like she has to go above and beyond to keep that person or to keep that connection in her life. So I challenge you to look up feeling words and see if you can use them and use them to describe how you really feel. You would probably be very surprised to see some of the things that you actually feel that you didn't know. Have y'all ever heard a song and the song took you back to a place where it may have been a good time in life, it may have been a not so good time in life, but you can remember what you were doing, you can remember the people that were around you, you can remember some of the voices, like the song takes you to a moment in time. Well, we don't realize that everything in life tends to do us that way. But if your feelings if you don't allow yourself to feel, then you won't even realize that's what it is. Because our bodies are 80% water. So the vibration of stuff carries with us throughout life. And I learned with one of my therapists that the vibrations of our parents, the vibrations of our ancestors can also start to become a part of us, because when we're in our mother's womb, we're in water. So those vibrations kind of trickle down to us and become a part of who we are. And so it's self-awareness and insight. Like, I'll go back to feelings, and feelings suck, and we don't have time for feelings. And people tell us, don't wear your feelings on your sleeve. But they are there, and we lead with feelings and we try to ignore them, but they're a part of us, and God gave them to us because they are our indicators. And if you ignore the indicators, then you start to become numb, and you start to feel disconnected, and you start to feel misunderstood.
Yes. Good one. Good one.
Thank you. Ooh, as a recovering people pleaser, I sometimes feel a tiny bit narcissistic in standing up for myself. Yay, spirit fingers. So, yeah, I feel that way too. I can definitely relate because it feels wrong. It feels like we're not being modest. It feels like we might be asking for too much, and it feels like we're being selfish. But that's because that's what we've been taught. We've been taught to put yourself at the bottom of the list. And so there's a scripture. I only know like 4 scriptures maybe, but I don't know where they at. But there's a scripture that says, treat your neighbor like you would treat yourself. Well, if you don't really treat yourself with high standards, you can only go as far as with your neighbor. You can only go as far as you're willing to go with yourself. With some therapists that I've talked to and that I've helped them kind of work through the mindset of the business practices, I try to help them understand that your clients can only go as far as you're willing to go. And so if you're not willing to dig deep into your feelings, if you're not willing to dig deep in making yourself a priority, then it's going to be very challenging for you to convince other people to do the same thing. So if you don't hold yourself in high regard, it's exhausting for you to attempt to hold other people in high regard if that's actually not really who you are and it's not really how you do life. So I tell people pleasers to narc out with taking care of yourself. Because here's the gift. When you take care of you, you're able to do more. I had an encounter with somebody who said, I don't care what your fees are, I would pay for my kids to come, but I probably wouldn't come. And I don't see children, I see adults, because I feel as if I can help the mom, if I can help the dad, if I can help the parents get better, then the trickle-down effect is going to be even that much greater for the children. You can't be smoking and blowing smoke in people's face and saying, you know, you don't need to be smoking, right?
It's no good.
You wait, did you just blow smoke in my face and telling me not to do it? So sometimes that's what we tend to do. And as recovering people pleasers, that's what we're showing other people. We're showing people that it's okay for you to mistreat me, but I'm going to treat you better because I'm a better person. Also, Googling definitions of words can help you so much. And one of the words that I have been sharing with people as a part of me choosing to be vulnerable is the word humble. Cassius, have you ever looked up the definition of humble? We talked about that before, didn't we?
Yeah.
We ain't doing humble in 2022. We're doing audacity.
Audacity.
We're doing audacity.
Oh.
Because humble, and people pride themselves on being humble. Humble, if you look up the definition of humble, it means to carry yourself as if you are of low or modest importance.
Whoa.
I am not of low or modest importance.
At all.
I'm not.
No.
Maybe to the universe, yes. To God, to Jesus, yes. To regular people, am not. And it feels arrogant to say that, but in order for us to try to help ourselves cultivate the kind of personality where the more you take care of you, the more you're able to do for other people. But if you are in lack trying to care for other people, you can only go so far. You get burned out fast. And you have to keep coming back and forth between burnout, showing up. You can do more when your cup is filled on a regular basis.
Right.
So I say, as a recovering people pleaser, first of all, welcome, because we've been waiting for you. And knock out with standing up for yourself. Knock out with taking care of you. You don't have to be angry. You don't have to be, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't have to be boisterous about it. You just have to choose to be confident. And the way to build confidence is a little step at a time. When you do something and you've never done it before, the fear is saying, ooh, we've never been here before. We don't like it. But the more you do it, the more you're comfortable with showing up and working through it. So people are going to reject you with temper tantrums. They're going to reject you with saying, I knew you wasn't who you said you were. Or this is not how you used to be. You're like, yeah, she don't exist no more. We ain't doing her no more. This is who I am. So take care of you and stand up for you. Say, this doesn't really work well for me, but I appreciate you considering me. Versus saying yes and not being comfortable with following through, and then you're mad at yourself later because you did it. And so just to avoid all of that, knock out, friend.
Good job.
Thank you for being brave enough to be vulnerable and share your personal experiences. It is still a process. It is still very scary, but the gifts have been so rewarding. I have been shooting my friendship shot with people. This morning, I shot my friendship shot with somebody, and as soon as I pressed send, before she read it, I had got an inbox from somebody else shooting their friendship shot with me. And I was like, wait, that's how the universe works? So by the time I got done, I had like 6 new people for me to be in a relationship with. But what I asked for was, I want low maintenance friendships. Low maintenance. One, because I'm an introvert. I'm not shy, but it does require a lot for me to like build up my energy, because when I go out, I try my best to show up as me. And then I'm like, ooh, let me retreat for a little while. This ain't got nothing to do with you. This is just how I have been. This is me being Montoya the human. So knowing that I'm an introvert, and knowing that I'm only out for a little while and I come on back in, that's me. But if you want to party 3 days in a row, I'm not your girl. If you want to party 2 days in a row, I'm probably not your girl.
Man.
2 weekends in a row? Oh, I can't do it. I don't want to give a whole lot of energy to other people and to other things. And so knowing that about myself and helping people understand that it's not me shunning you, or it's not me being like people say, antisocial. That's just me. I will push through for the benefit of people that I care for, but I don't want to if I don't have to. So thank you. I look forward to hearing about what your vulnerable journey is like, and hopefully by the end of this year, vulnerability will also be your superpower.
Oh, good job. We got
I have another question.
Oh wait. Come in.
That just helped me. Yay! Yay, Travander. I love you so much. Another thing that can help with vulnerability is revisit some contracts. Revisit some contracts that you have with other people. Revisit some contracts and agreements that you have with yourself to see if those contracts are still in line with who you want to be, if they're in alignment with what God has told you that you should be doing, or who you are at this time in life. Because sometimes a 20-year-old version of you may have agreed to something that the 40-something version of you is like, I don't want to do that no more. That's not even who I am. I didn't even know I'd be here in life. And so a good example of that is when people say folks are going through midlife crisis. I call it midlife, I don't want to no more. Yeah. And I call it midlife, I don't want to anymore, because, you know, we get in these relationships and friendships and jobs where we started out when we were in our 20s or started out when we were in our 30s. And we have fulfilled our purpose to the point to where I do not want to drive a minivan. I do not want to drive a 4-seater car. I want to drive a 2-seater car where everybody can't fit in it. And this is just for me. So revisiting some contracts. People make these commitments to family members that no longer serve you at this point in life. You've committed to taking care of this fully capable, healthy person, and it's like you carrying around a bag of rocks because they're holding you accountable to something you said 17 years ago, and you don't want to anymore. So having the courage to say, hey, you know, I agreed to taking care of you for the rest of my life because I love you, but I really don't want to do that anymore. And being okay with whatever the outcome is. Sometimes we're afraid to do that because we feel like people will take their love away from us, and they will, because their love is a part of a contract with you. As long as you hold up your end of the bargain, I'll keep loving you. And as soon as you don't do what's best for them, then they take their love away. However, we're right back to attract and repel. If they take their love away, guess what? They're opening up the avenue for other people to come in who are willing to hold up. They're willing to be in relationship with you without you having to go the extra mile for them to love and care for you. So if people take their love away because you're no longer a part of a contract that an older version of you or a younger version of you agreed to, then okay, you just got to trust God for the situation. But you choosing to continue to be Jesus Jr.,
you be tripping me out when you say that. Jesus Jr.
When I came up with that, like, I really freed myself, because if people can call on Travander, then they don't really have to call on Jesus. Mm-hmm. And so if they call you for everything, you are in the way of people's spiritual connection. You are in the way of people having their own spiritual relationship, and you are preventing people from having life experiences that God has for them because you've chosen to be Jesus Jr. for them. And oftentimes we're Jesus Jr. for people that haven't even asked us. Like the lady at the chiropractor office, she did not ask me to be her Jesus Jr. She was like, ma'am, sign here and go back to the room on the table. And I'm the one that showed up like, ma'am, touch the hem of my garment.
You're already glowing around this thing.
Touch the hem of my garment. Let me pick your kids up for you.
Oh, no.
I don't even know if they are good kids. I don't know if they behave, but I have inserted myself in somebody's life that did not ask for it. Our children, we want them to have a good life. We want them to be kind. We want them to be respectful. And God is like, excuse me, ma'am, I let you be stewards over these people, but you are in the way of my will for them because you won't let me do what I want to do because they're not doing what you want them to do. When it comes to our children and people we care for, there's so many wills that are involved in that. It's our will for them. It's God's will for them. It's their will for themselves. It's the other parent's will for them and anybody else connected to them. Their friends has a will for them. They have a desire. And so people have so many different people's wishes pulling at them. The thing that can help you recenter yourself is to pray for God's will for them, even if it's not in line with yours. And when you pray for God's will, it's so much easier. You don't really have to do a whole lot of work. You can just be like, I'm trusting God for you. I'm trusting God, and however things work out, I choose to be okay because I have crazy faith and ridiculous favor. And so things are going to work out however they're supposed to be, and I'm going to be okay with the outcome. And you have to keep talking to yourself about it. It's a struggle, especially as a parent. But if you don't do that, what happens is you repel people. You push them away because they're not comfortable with you being in their life because you keep trying to inflict your will on their life. So revisit some contracts. I was having a conversation with somebody a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about routines. Like, what's your routine? So I have been paying attention to what are my routines, what are my daily routines. One of them is I beat myself up over social media being a part of my daily routine. And then I was like, wait, but social media is a part of life. You can be on social media. It can be a part of your routine. You don't have to beat yourself up about it. You can just say, when I wake up in the morning, after I do some of the stuff that I want to do, I scroll on social media for a little while. What I do have to do is I have to put alarms on my phone and say, all right, girl, that's enough. You done scrolled your life away. You done posted enough. You been silly and playing enough. And you put some stuff out there about your business. So move on with your day because you got other stuff that you need to do. So I had to give myself permission because people say that social media isn't real life. In a lot of ways, it's not. But for a lot of us, it's how we connect. And for many of us, it's how we market our businesses. And so that's what I do. That's me. The other thing I realized is some of my morning routine was me acting as if my kids were still little. So some of the things that I used to tell myself, they no longer fit in the kind of life that I'm living now. These kids don't even need me. But I had told myself that I couldn't work out early in the morning because I have to help get them ready for school. Actually, all I have to do for Steven is just knock on the door and tell him that I'm ready because he's mature enough and he is able to get himself ready for school. So I don't need to keep telling myself that anymore. Now I could be like, girl, get up and take care of your business. So when he's ready for school, y'all can walk out the door and you've accomplished some stuff. So revisiting some contracts that I have with myself, and also stop trying to do so much. If you need to get a housekeeper, get a housekeeper. If you need to get somebody to take care of your grass, get somebody to take care of your grass, because you're paying people to do stuff that you can do for yourself, but you're paying for the time. You're paying for the swap in the time. I had tried to, when I moved into this house that I'm in, I went and bought a lawnmower. I bought a hedge blower. I bought the grass blower. I bought a hedger.
Really?
It's rusty. I ain't using it.
You were finna do it up at first, right?
In my mind, I was. But okay. I thought about it more than I actually did it.
We'll see what had happened was.
This what had happened. I thought about it for 7 days, and I was exhausted from thinking about it. But I could have just paid somebody
Yeah.
40, 50, $60 to take care of it for me, and I could move on with my life.
Right.
Same way when it comes to getting your house taken care of, with the hair journey. I was like, yeah, I could do natural hair.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't. I can't. I don't even want to. So then I started the lock journey. So now I'm just like, cool. I don't even have to take care of that for 3 or 4 weeks at a time because it's put up.
Yes.
And if I want to be super cute, I could put on my headband wig. So revisiting some contracts that you have with yourself and paying attention to some of the negative voices that you have in your head that don't belong to you or that no longer serve you, put them away and replace them with things that are more suitable for the life that you have right now. We have any more questions?
Oh, Chelsea, she just come in.
What Chelsea say? Love, love, love. Hey, Chelsea. I love you so much. I'm so proud of her.
Yes, me too.
She has had to. She's moved out of town, and the conversation we had this morning was she's one of the first people that are close to us in our family that has had the courage to move to a different city. Mm-hmm. And that's a big deal. I am extremely proud of her. I'm happy to see her thriving. I'm happy to see her push past other people's views about what she should and shouldn't do with her life to try to figure out what works for her. Some of it is not in my will, but I trust God's will for her, and I trust her judgment for her life. And I just want to be able to be a part of it, and I want to be able to continue to be a support system for her and just to be curious about how life shows up for her because she's a good person. And so when you're a good person, the things that you are seeking, they're seeking you. What else? What is self-care for you? Paying attention to what is self-care for you. For some people, self-care is pampering, but pampering isn't always self-care. Pampering is getting your nails done, getting your hair done. Those things are important because how you look and how you feel about yourself is important. And but for me, I had to pay attention to what's self-care for me. What makes me feel rested? What makes my spirit feel at ease? What makes me feel calm? What makes me be able to sleep comfortably at night? And what I came to at this place in my life is having tough conversations. Having tough conversations is self-care for me because if I don't, I'm going to think about it over and over and over again. So, gut health and just healthy from the inside out is your thought life is connected to that. And the reason why your thought life is connected to that is because our feelings, which we don't like, show up in it. We have a stress hormone called cortisol. Cortisol shows up when it's time for us to figure out what your next client is here. Hey, thank you. Bye. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and the stress hormone, if you have too much of it and there's an overflow of it, it starts to cause inflammation in your body.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I need to check that out. Man.
Right. So people think like coming to therapy is just talking and having a conversation, but these are conversations that people don't really know that's a part of the therapeutic process. And so when you have an overflow of cortisol on a regular basis in your body, it's almost like it starts to attack you from the inside out. It starts to, like, cortisol inflammation can affect diabetes, heart disease, back pain. Depression and anxiety is connected and linked to cortisol and inflammation.
Really?
They all go together.
So how do I get rid of that?
The way you get rid of it or decrease it,
yes,
because you're a human person, is managing your diet, managing your thoughts, because our thoughts turn to things. Our thoughts create cortisol. Cortisol creates inflammation. So if you're in a constant state of depression or anxiety, you're in a constant state of creating cortisol and more than your body can handle. And your body's like, whoa, what we doing? Why we got all this cortisol up in here? So the inflammation is like it's trying to protect itself.
Okay.
And so meditation, it sounds easy, but it's not. Being outside, vitamin D, sunlight, seeing greenery, your space where you live being less cluttered, just so many things that are a part of our mental health. And all of these things are suicide prevention. Because when you start to think like things are hopeless, when you start to feel like you can't see what's going to happen next, or if you're in chronic pain, sometimes you just want things to end. And so having a support system or somebody that's a safe space, that's not going to use your feelings and your words and your thoughts against you as weapons later, those things, healthy healing conversations can help decrease the inflammation and the cortisol in your body. Is not just always medication. And so to think that you can have these kind of conversations with just anybody or just somebody, because I've had people stop coming to therapy because their significant other told them, well, you have me, why you need to go to therapy?
Really?
I've had people that don't come back. I've even had couples who refuse to come to therapy because the other person won't come. We need to come to therapy together. Okay, so if your significant other doesn't come, then you come by yourself.
Right.
You come to work on you, because therapy and having therapeutic conversations about you learning who you are, how you are, and then helping other people learn how to do life with you if they're open to it. Therapy does not fix people. Therapy is you learning how to have a relationship with yourself. And we tend to avoid relationships with us by being busy, by taking care of other people. And so when you can manage the cortisol, when you start to rewire how you think about things and rewire your brain, because it is possible, then that affects you from the inside out. Some people say, you just have a glow. Yes, it is, because my flux have decreased tremendously. And in order for me to do that, I've had to increase my faith for people. I've had to increase my faith for the outcome of other people's lives without me actually having to do anything. So I could sleep at night with my phone turned off.
Good.
If it's a fire or an emergency, or if I need to know, I'll figure it out. I'll notice it when I wake up. But I'm not 911. I'm not the fire department. I'm not the police. And so, yeah, I'm going to bed. When I was having a conversation with somebody and they were saying, well, what if I need you? What if you need Jesus? Let me refer you to somebody that could do more for you than I can. And it sounds cocky and narcissistic, but I'm really proud of myself for getting to that point, because now I have the space to focus on the things that I can focus on, and then just like let everybody else do what's best for them. Let me see if I have any more tips or suggestions.
And Tori Mason said, great stream.
Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Tori. Tori is one of my friends that I be playing with on social media.
Okay, bet.
I love her. She's so funny. Also have the courage. Have the courage. Choose to have the courage to speak up about how you feel. You don't have to be ugly about it. You don't have to be disrespectful about it. You can just be like, hey, I'm not okay with that. Or even with the flip side, I would love to see you. I would love to spend time with you. When can you make time? When can we meet up to get together? And letting people know that you want to get to know them. You want to be around them. I want to know who you are, or I just want to hear you laugh. I try to make it a point to call people that I care about. I don't need anything. I don't want anything. I just want to hear your voice. I just want to say hey. And once we chit chat for a little while, we get off the phone and we move on in life. So having the courage to know what you need, to ask for what you need, and to let other people know what you need so that you can better be in relationship with yourself. You can decrease the cortisol. So there's something called the polyvagal theory. And the polyvagal theory is really about our nervous system. We store mostly everything in our nervous system. So we focus on connection or safety. We're really good at focusing on safety. We're not good at focusing on connection. Connection is where the feelings are. Connection is our feminine energy. We're really great at building criteria for things that people need to do to be a part of our lives, because that's what makes us feel safe. Every time somebody do something to you or they mistreat you, then you add a different criteria to your list. But we don't add to how to continue to foster connection. So getting around people that feel safe for you, and letting people know what you need in order so that you can feel safe will start to create more of a space. Thank you, Carlos. We'll start to create more of a space where you can do connection, where you can focus on connection. What if you're nonchalant? You is not nonchalant. You just not comfortable with using your feelings. Or it could be that some stuff just don't bother you. Some stuff is just not important to you. And I can be very much like that. Like, that's not important to me. I'm unbothered. I can see a body and be like, oh, they dead. What we eat for lunch today? I mean, unless it's somebody I love and care for, it really doesn't bother me, because that person, like, they don't affect, like, my quality of life or how I do life.
Yeah.
And I have learned to be okay with that. That doesn't make me a bad person. But if I see a wedding proposal, or if I see somebody who is like really in love and they really care for each other, it's like my heart melts and I'm like, oh, I love love. It makes me so happy. And then the tears will start to well up. But those are things, that's just me. That's a part of me. And helping people understand that, I'm just like, hey, that's just me. That's just how I am. And so you may be nonchalant, but it's really just that certain things don't bother you. Certain things aren't a trigger for you. Certain things aren't an indicator for you. But the things that are, you're probably very passionate about it. And you probably, will probably go to the end of the earth for certain stuff or for certain topics. And so you're not nonchalant. That's just something that people use to say, yeah, I'm really unbothered by that. That's not a trigger for me, but these things are.
Yeah, I know I tell Kim, I say, it's my reality.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, this is my reality. And my reality doesn't have to be with yours. So there's a couples therapy model that I like to use, that I like to refer to a lot. It's a Gottman method couples therapy. And I learned, and it's very true, that 70% of relationship issues are not resolvable. 70.
70
out of 100. And so we get in relationships with people and we try to convince them to be like us, or convince them to think like us, or vice versa, not really understanding that only 30% you're able to persuade 30% of the issues that we have. So we need to focus on what goes in the 30. And do we have more stuff that we need to pay attention to? I don't want to be in another relationship with another Montoya. It just doesn't sound fun to me. I need somebody to be like, girl, get up, get out of here. We about to do this. Come on, you need to be on time. I need somebody to be like that. If we both lagging and we both laying around on the couch and we're both introverts, that's not going to work for me. But I do need compatibility. Even with friendships, I need compatibility.
Right.
So trying to convince people to be like you is totally unrealistic, but paying attention to what's their reality and what's your reality and where can we meet can once again start to help you feel safe to the point to where you can comfortably focus on connection. We got any other questions?
Not right now. But you.
Okay. Lastly, my suggestion is get you an awareness partner, somebody that you trust to pull your coattail, also to help you celebrate some wins. I I hate the fact that, well, I'm not gonna say hate. I dislike the fact that people who come to me, they are so comfortable with celebrating wins with me, but they don't have very many people in their lives that they can celebrate wins with. We tend to be around people who are jealous. We tend to be around people who we aren't comfortable with being upfront and in the spotlight. And I have recently found out that that's one of the things that I have to work on. I like to be in the background. I like to pump my friends up. I like to push people up. And I like to be like, girl, you got it. You good. I'm so proud of you. But when it's my turn, I'm like,
I do the same thing. Yeah.
But God can't bless who we pretend to be. He can only bless who you really are. So if we're around people that we're not comfortable with being ourselves, then he may not be able to bless you, because he can't bless the fake version of you. He can't bless the pretend version, or the modest version, or the humble version of you. He needs to be able to bless the reality of who you are, so that you can be able to be more of a blessing to other people. When we live in God's will for our lives, then he is also allowing us to be a part of other people's will for their lives. But the more you hold back, the more we hold back, the more we're delaying other people from being able to do the work that God has for them too. So I said all that to say, getting an awareness partner, or somebody that can say, girl, you're doing too much. Or a partner who can say, we need to go out and celebrate that you did these things, and you need to be comfortable with it. Somebody that you trust, and sometimes if it's not somebody that's close to you, come to therapy. Therapy, I can definitely be your awareness partner. I can help you with some mindset coaching. We can do virtual sessions. We can do in-person sessions. So this is going to be our last episode for this season. I've learned a lot, and I'm very grateful for Cassius. But we're going to take a break for 2 months, and I will be out of the office for about 2 months. And then when we come back, we'll be ready to start up again. And so if you need help with finding a therapist, feel free to reach out to me. You do not have to come to me. I do not have a monopoly on therapy. And I'm just grateful that you're even allowing me to help you consider different perspectives, and that you're allowing me to help you consider getting you an awareness partner in the form of a professional clinician who can help hold your secrets. Like, I know I'm the vault, and I love it. But when I leave work, it stays there. Yes. I do not worry about other people's business or other people's issues when I'm not there, because I too have had to learn how to trust God for my clients, whether I am there or not, because I'm not their Jesus. I'm just a support system for them.
Good.
So thank y'all so much for being here. I wore green today because the heart chakra is green. The heart chakra says that I am open for love. I am open for connection. I love and I trust myself. The heart chakra says that I am a magnet, and I attract the things that God and the universe has for me, and the things that I am seeking are seeking me. And so vulnerability is seeking me. I don't like it, but I'm here. Thank y'all for being here with me. Whenever you see this, or however long you give me some of your time and attention, thank you, you're welcome, Jazzy Mac. If I have done anything to touch your spirit or your heart, please leave me a comment, because I love them, and they help me continue to keep going. And I look forward to look forward to hearing about how your vulnerability journey is blessing you from the inside out. This is Bougie Black Therapist Podcast. subscribe, like, share, comment, and I'll see you later. Bye.